Hey everyone, Life with Pets here. So today I want to talk about how to add a group of female bettas to a tank.
That one's very sassy. You know, my intention was to get a group of crown-tail females to set up a sorority.
And this week, I thought I would actually focus a little more on my sorority.
Just stop. Just stop it. Stop. No, just stop it.
Let's start some YouTube channel drama with what the fish keeping. I'm gonna preface this by saying this is not a hate video. I'm not flaming on anyone. I am truly, honestly hitting my microphone again. I have recorded this so many times. I'm honestly actually concerned. And I just want to have a discussion. I want us to all have a discussion about this, and I would love to hear back from the people that I have basically thrown under the bus in this video, because I'm going to be throwing some people under the bus here. And I don't mean it in any, disrespectful way or means, but I have a problem with Betta sororities, if you couldn't tell. So, I was really trying to understand this, and I've got notes over here, so if you see me looking this way, you'll know why. A couple centuries ago, fish fighting started really gaining a foothold in Thailand, to the point that the king of Thailand said, "I want a piece of that." Eventually in 1840 he would hand some of his prized fish over to a man who he no doubt held in high esteem, and that man would eventually give some of those fish to a man named Theodore Cantor. Theodore Cantor was a medical scientist and misidentified these fish as Macropodus pugnax. However, ichthyologist Carl Regan was like, no, these are not Macropodus pugnax. These are an entirely new species onto themselves, and he named them Betta splendens, the domesticated Siamese fighting fish. Now, Betta care has really taken some leaps and bounds in the past few years, and I could not be more ecstatic about that. In fact, when Rachel made her video about how to care for Betta and said that 5 gallons was the minimum for them, I was ecstatic. I thought that was really good. Years ago, we thought 2.5 gallons was fine. Years before that, we thought 1 gallon was fine, and years before that, we were keeping them in vases, letting them eat roots off pothos plants. I think that this is just another brick in the path to where we're going as far as becoming better fish keepers. So I was trying to figure out and understand why people were wanting to run sororities when there's just countless articles and threads about why it's bad. You still see people promoting them. And I was really trying to understand why, and I have asked people why, and the main justification is that they like the personalities of the fish, and they also like the coloration. Coloration is an extremely flawed argument because you can get literally any color of fish that you want, that are meant to be in a community, that are meant to be in a school, that like being together. They're a social species. So I don't really buy that argument at all, because we have guppies, we have platies, we have mollies, we have 3 different color strains of neons, we've got cardinal tetras, you've got several different kinds of rasboras, several different kinds of barbs, angelfish, discus. There's like just so many options out there. And then the other is personalities. If you really like the personality of the bettas, you just need to find something that's like a betta, which is an abantoid. This word here. It's basically the whole family of gourami. There's several different kinds of gourami that can stay together and enjoy each other's company. A lot of people like to argue that wild types can stay together, so why can't they? And they also like to argue that it's only the male bettas that were used for fighting, and that's also extremely flawed. Now, the problem with Betta splendens is that they are so far removed from their wild ancestry that they have lost everything that would have given them, because humans wanted to breed them towards a specific goal, which was fish fighting. So they bred something that was ultra aggressive and ultra dominant and ultra territorial, and they succeeded. It just so happened that they ended up being beautiful hardy fish that became extremely popular in the aquarium hobby. And while they may enjoy some of the same water conditions as those wild cousins, they are a domesticated breed. Not unlike your dog is so different from a wolf. The whole reason that your dog doesn't try to hunt you down is because it's been domesticated and taught not to. And unfortunately, the Betta has been taught not to be a peaceful, tolerant fish. So a lot of people like to play around with the idea, well, could we ever breed them to be peaceful again? And I believe this has been attempted to some extent, and I believe it was ultimately a failure. But then I have to stop and think about, well, if you're going to go through all that trouble, why not just get a wild species? The wild species come in an array of colors. They're extremely beautiful. Why not just do that? Save yourself a little bit of headache and heartache in the process. And just because only the males were used for fighting doesn't mean that that behavior is going to change just because one has ovaries and one doesn't. And basically what I'm getting around to is that female bettas are just as aggressive as male bettas. This isn't my opinion, this is fact. There have been studies on this, and I will leave links in the description below where you can read it for yourself, where people have spent a great deal of time researching this. Now, granted, the studies are old, and ichthyology isn't necessarily the most glamorous side of science, or the most well-funded, but this is what we know, and this is what we have to work with, and common sense lines right up with that. So, with that all in mind, I cannot get behind Betta sororities. And I've really wondered, it's one thing to see casual hobbyists kind of try to play it off, but it really shocked me when Rachel O'Leary admitted to having intentions to starting a sorority. It really surprised me and disappointed me, because I know she's intelligent, I know she knows a lot about fish behaviors. That's what's made her so successful, as someone who sells fish. And it's just like, you doing what now? So that really kicks my butt into gear to make this video and to sit down and record it a million times. So in my honest opinion and my observations, I have had a sorority. I've had a sorority before. It was years ago. It was between 8 and 10 years ago. A long time. Did everything right, put a ton of decor in it, silk plants, because I wasn't confident enough to do real plants at the time. They were all about the same age, put them in together, and it was just like, it was stressful watching them, and I didn't like it. So about a week after figuring out that, hey, this isn't getting any better like people said it would, I separated them. Because I didn't like it. So, and I've yet to see in all of these years a Betta sorority where fins weren't nipped, where there wasn't constant posturing, where there weren't, stress stripes. Any one of those two. And just because you can't see stress stripes doesn't mean that the fish isn't stressed. And I constantly see posturing, the nipped fins, the stressed behaviors, and it's extremely disheartening that it just kind of gets swept under the rug a little bit. I would just, if you were considering starting a sorority, I would really sit down and go through the links. There's another video on YouTube. It's the only one I could find talking about how someone's sorority failed. I can't remember her name. I'll leave that in the link below too. I have it saved in my favorites or all my likes. And I will link that below too, because it was extremely brave of her, and I'm really glad that she did it, talking about how her sorority failed. And it was the most ideal setup that you could ever have for a sorority. It was a huge tank. There was like 5 females in it, densely planted. It was everything that everyone said that you needed. And on top of that, I believe they were all spawn sisters as well. So with all that said, I feel like a weight has been lifted off of my chest. Again, I'm not trying to witch hunt anybody. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. I'm just actually concerned about the direction that our hobby is going in. And I don't want to see false information out there if I can at all help it. And there's a lot of it. And if Rachel can fall victim to it, so can anyone else. Because she's probably one of the most knowledgeable people in our hobby right now. That I know of, anyway, as far as freshwater goes. So, that's all I gotta say right now. I'm gonna go, because I think I finally got enough. I think I can finally make the video. I gotta go edit it. So, yeah, if I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry. You know, oh yeah, I was supposed to throw people under the bus. I already threw Rachel O'Leary under the bus. Sorry. I want to hear, if it gets to them, I want to hear from Creative Pet Keeping. I want to hear from Life with Pets. And those are like the two big ones. And maybe IngloriousSBettas too. I know she has a sorority. I want to hear from all these people what your justifications are for keeping a sorority. And I want to know if your fish have like fin damage. I want to know all these things. And I'm not like saying prove it, you know, but I'm genuinely curious. I want to see what happens, and I want to see what your experiences are with sororities. And hey, maybe, you know, maybe if you've had a sorority in the past and it's failed, go ahead and make a response to this. I would love to hear it. I know one person who's probably gonna make a response video to this, but yeah, let's have this discussion. Why not? So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.